You're from the area.
Mhm.
Maybe just tell me a little bit about your kind of, coming up. I know you said you went to Oswego and
Yeah.
then what you did maybe post grad to get to where you are now,
Yeah.
because what we're here to talk about, I think is pretty new for you.
Yes. Very new. Not even open yet. So went to Oswego State, grew up here. After college, I had that itch. I was like, I got to go, get out of here, like everyone does. And ended up moving to Boston for a little bit.
Nice.
I was managing a gym. COVID hit. Obviously
Okay.
lost that job.
What kind of gym?
Equinox.
Equinox?
There was like a
Okay,
juice
yeah, very
bar
popular.
inside of
Yeah,
an
yeah.
Equinox. Yeah. So I was
That's
like
sweet.
managing the juice bar area inside, helping out with the gym stuff. And then my best friend was living down in Tennessee. She texted me and she's like, hey, you want to come down here? My roommate moved out and paid her lease. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I gave it a try down in Nashville, ended up managing a juice bar there.
Pretty lame city.
Pretty lame city. Crazy city.
Crazy city.
Was there for about 6 years and my whole family's still here. So
Okay.
decided I got to come back.
How long ago did you move back?
1 week.
You've only been back a week?
I've been back 1 week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. But you've obviously had a plan
Yes.
coming back.
Yes.
That's why it makes it. So I didn't realize you hadn't opened yet either, but that's
No.
cool because now it's a whole different conversation.
It
and
is.
I'm kind of excited to dive into it.
Yeah.
So you've been back for a week. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, it wasn't warm for you.
I know.
Nothing like Nashville.
We hit a crazy snowstorm driving in.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That's a nice welcome.
It was a nice welcome. My fiance's from Virginia. He was like, is this how it's always going to be?
used to it. Yeah.
I was like, yes and no.
So why here over Virginia? I mean, was Virginia an option if your fiance's from there?
I mean, we talked about it, of course, but none of his family is actually staying there.
Okay.
So being that my whole family lives here, it was kind of just that natural. We were on like our second date and I was like, this is what I'm doing.
This is the plan.
I was like, you
Get
can
on
get out
board.
now or,
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because I was in a similar situation. I lived in Austin, Texas. My fiance, well, we got married down there, I guess, but she was from Long Island.
Okay.
And it was never really a conversation. I mean, Long Island's a little different.
Yeah.
If you're from there, you tend to move back.
Totally.
And she's from there, but she went to Syracuse. So she already
Okay.
knew, she was familiar with Syracuse.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are you here?
Yeah. But, obviously being from here, moving back, well, we had a kid and it's nice to be back near family. But Virginia's depending, I guess, where in Virginia, but it's a pretty desirable, more southern than upstate. And I always root for the people that are like, nah, we're going back to Syracuse area.
We're coming back. Yeah, that was kind of always my plan. I didn't know when, but I knew it was going to happen. Before we had kids, that was always my goal, be around my family.
Awesome. Talk about your time in Nashville. Spending time, I think, away from upstate and coming back gives you a nice perspective. And,
Yeah,
you start to appreciate things that are hard to do when you just have lived here your whole life.
totally.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in Nashville? It's clearly a very desirable city, whether it's a vacation, a bachelor, or bachelorette party. But then I know people who live there who absolutely love it too.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Like, I still love it. It's just getting a little older. I moved down there when I was 22. So that was super fun.
So a good time
it
to
was a
be
blast.
there. Yeah,
we
in your
were on
20s,
Broadway
yeah.
quite a bit and, checking out all the places that are desirable in Nashville. But once I was like 26, 27, it was kind of like, okay, I'm ready to calm down, settle down, bought a house, was ready to just chill out.
Bought one here.
In Nashville.
In Nashville.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Bought a
okay.
home.
Cool. All right. So you had your first home.
Yep. Got my
Nice.
first home down there. Beautiful city. I mean, there's just so much to do. So much to do. So many people. Hundreds of gyms, hundreds of fitness studios, coffee shops, everything. It's kind of like that decision overload a little bit.
Mhm.
Like there's almost so much going on that you're like, maybe I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Like going to the grocery
Paralysis
store.
by analysis.
Yes.
It's just so much that you just don't even know.
Going to the grocery store, you're like, all right, I'm exhausted. I'm going to go home. But yeah, once I met my fiance, it was kind of a very easy, like, all right, now we're ready to settle down.
Yeah.
Let's make plans to get back up home. But yeah, I mean, it's great. Great city. Very cool. Recommend it if you're younger, but it's not a settle down city in my opinion.
How's traffic? Is it pretty bad?
Yes. I was just talking about this with my
Busy,
friend.
yeah.
You can't go anywhere outside of the hours of 11 and 3.
Yeah.
If you're trying to go anywhere before or after that time frame, you're going to be stuck in traffic forever.
Yeah. That was
Especially
one thing
compared to here.
in Austin. I was coaching. So we had after school practice,
Mhm.
a lot of things on the weekends, which usually traffic isn't as bad. But yeah, I avoided that,
Yep.
7 to 10 and the, 4 to 6.
Yeah,
every day.
exactly.
I was like, I got all my shopping done in the meet,
Yeah.
all that. And it was great, right? Because you have all the options you have, but you don't have to sit in the traffic. It's just not everyone is as fortunate
Yeah.
to be able to do that.
We Instacarted quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's convenient. So give us the plan though. All right, I'm going to move back, but not everyone moves back and actually has, a plan, especially an entrepreneurial plan
Yeah.
to start a business. So
Totally.
how did that come to be, and kind of walk us through that?
So before I moved, I was actually looking into opening a juice bar here. That was always my goal. I went to school for health science and nutrition, did personal training in college, all of those things. So I've always been in that health world. And again, I was like 21, 22, and I was looking at a space downtown actually. And I had contractors come in. I was bartending at the time, and the contractor was one of my regulars. And he pulls me aside and he's like, listen, like, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you, but I don't think you should do it. You're 21 years old. Like, give yourself a little bit of time and decide if you want to take this journey. For whatever reason, I don't know why I listened to him. If my parents said it, I would have been like, no, I'm doing it.
No, I'm definitely doing it now.
Right? That's what my mom always says. And so I listened to him. Thank God. We had a Target open of May 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would have.
You were 21.
I was 21 years old.
That is young.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty sound advice.
Yes.
And not saying you can't do it.
Right.
And like, hey, sometimes it's good to jump
He was just
in
like, this
into the
is,
fight.
I mean, the build
But it
out that
would've
I
been
was
a lot.
trying to do, just like all of these things. He was like, I just think you should wait.
Yeah.
So I moved. I always had that like entrepreneurial spirit. My parents are both entrepreneurs. So I was like, okay, maybe just not right now. Ended up getting a job in sales, obviously managing the gyms and whatnot. Just kind of was just going along with life. Got into fitness down in Nashville after college. Obviously, I did some fitness in college, but got way more into it in Nashville. And I just fell in love. And it was just like, I found Lagree, which is the style of fitness, and it clicked. I was like, wait, this is what I have to do. Like pretty much after like my third class, I was like, okay, I need one of these.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I wanted to come home and there wasn't any here, it was just kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Talk about, you said you got into fitness and then you found Lagree. What other like type of fitness routines and workout classes did you do, or were you into for maybe a time?
Yeah.
And then why did you say, I enjoyed it, but I want to change things up?
Yeah. It's actually really funny. I was not a group fitness girl ever. I never had a group fitness membership before because I always felt like I always needed something else. So it would be, I could go to yoga, but I would also need to go to the gym. I could go to Pilates, but I also needed to go to the gym. So I was just like, I'm just going to go to the gym, I'm just going to stay on that routine. And that's what I would do. I would weight lift 5 to 6 times a week, do yoga, every once in a while, just pop in, never got like an actual membership. So I was just more so strength training, and those things were my focus.
You felt that yoga and Pilates like weren't enough?
Yeah.
More or less?
Yeah. I mean, just for what I was looking for. They're great for what they're great for, like rehabilitation, stretching, they can tone and strengthen, but like my specific goals just never felt like it was enough.
So you would just be by yourself at a gym. And what routines did you do there? Where did you learn what to do?
Yeah.
Being a former athlete, I kind of just took what we always did, in college and kind of just adjusted a little bit. But like in my early 20s, at least, until I found a gym in Austin where we would have kind of a trainer work with us. And that's when we really got into like kettlebells and different type of workout, more, just kind of typical life type workouts, not just banging, bench press and squats and things like that. So you wanted to do a little more. And that's when you realized Lagree. Were you just like, oh, this class looks interesting?
So I was doing the weightlifting.
Yeah, sorry, I never let you answer that question.
Yeah.
No, but go ahead. Yeah, what were you doing? How did you learn like what to do in the gym? Because some people have no idea, and that's why it can be intimidating.
I have worked out since I was like 13 years old. My mom, big into fitness. Like she was the mom that before we would get on the bus, she was at the gym at 5 a.m. So it's kind of just always been in my life. That was just normal. Like we would go after school and just go to the gym. And I would just, back then, who knows what I was doing. But in college, I took personal training classes. My best friend was a personal trainer. So we would work out with her. She would kind of teach us, we would make little routines on a shared app in our phone. And that's kind of where I learned. And then I would just, watch fitness influencers, take routines from there, and then I would just make them up.
Okay. So you kind of studied
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Looking at researching, doing
Yeah.
things.
Sports medicine, took all those classes in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice when you get to a point where you can kind of create your own workout,
Mm-hmm.
but it is also nice sometimes when you don't have to think about it.
Oh my
You just
gosh.
show
Yeah.
up. That's
So nice.
one good thing about like a class
and it's
workout.
efficient. Like
Yeah.
that's like the best
It's like
part.
45 minutes.
Yes.
You don't think about it before, you don't think about it after, but you
Mhm.
feel amazing.
Yeah. So that's how I found Lagree. A girl that I was working out with, just one of my best friends, she was like, I did this solid core class and you got to try it. I feel like you would love it. So I went with her as a guest. And
Is that like a brand?
solid core is knockoff Lagree. So it's a little bit of drama there. But the creator of solid core took the Lagree method and basically just didn't license it. And she made solid core. So it's,
okay.
it's Lagree in a sense, but she created hers is her own brand, not a franchise or anything like that. Whereas Lagree Studios were the Lagree method. We have to be licensed in order to use the name.
Yes.
And all of the exercises and all of that. So I started with knockoff Lagree. I actually worked at a solid core, just not knowing, I was like, this method was great. I did the 2 weeks right away and saw results within 2 weeks, which was so rare, I feel like, in a fitness class for me. So I was like, I love it. I'm obsessed. I went all the time.
Body results is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly like core strength, just like toning and things that I was like, I have been working out for 15 years and I haven't seen these results. So it was just very encouraging,
Yeah.
And then I found an actual Lagree studio. And then that's when I got certified to teach the method. And then everything progressed from there.
Were you like, I'll try the actual one just to see what it was like?
Yeah.
Did you see maybe some nuances of?
Yeah.
Or are they pretty similar?
I mean, they're definitely similar in a sense. I'm obviously partial, but I prefer regular Lagree because we work more of a full body. Whereas I feel like solid core, you spend a lot of time on your center core. I remember looking up at the clock in one class and we did core for like 15 minutes straight. And I was like, I can't even, like my low back hurts. I can't even hold
my
this.
abs just thinking about it.
And it's like straight, like there's no breaks. So I love the regular Lagree method, but my first class I went in and they were calling out moves like catfish and scrambled eggs. And I was like, what is this? I got home.
They're like getting to scrambled eggs. And
Yes.
You're like,
yes. And I was literally like, this is weird. I remember saying to my friend, I called her and I was like, I don't know. That was weird. Like the names were weird.
Yeah,
I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, I don't know. But I bought like a couple classes. So I was like, well, I got to go back. And I ended up just loving it.
This episode is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central New York, the #1 window and door company in America. Winter is coming, and there's no better time to upgrade. Their energy-efficient windows keep warm in, the cold out, and your energy bills low. Schedule your free consultation today by clicking the link in the show notes. I don't really know, that's why I'm excited to have you on because I'm learning about Lagree. Obviously, I did a little research before this. It seems like it's kind of spawned off of Pilates, though. And I know both of them use the machine of the reformer. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Well, or Pilates does, and then they have their own machine.
Exactly.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that? Just because I've never been in a Pilates class.
Yeah.
My wife has. She really enjoys it. But it's just, seeing this machine, like we have friends in Pittsburgh, and they just opened up, they had a yoga studio and they just opened up a side with Pilates with like 10 reformers. And it looks aweson.
That's a dream.
I just have no idea what, and I'll put you in touch just because they're kind of like a few steps ahead.
Oh my gosh,
like
that would be
4 or
amazing.
5 years ago. But I don't know a lot about it just because I've never done it. So why don't you talk about what they use in Pilates versus what they use in Lagree?
Yeah. So the founder of Lagree, his name is Sebastian. He actually started as a Pilates instructor. He was in bodybuilding. He's like this massive, he's like 6'7". He's just huge. And he started as a Pilates instructor and the girls would leave and he would see them. It was like a half Pilates studio, half gym. He would see them in the gym and he would be like, you just took my class. Why are you here?
Essentially what you did.
Yes. So I was like, that resonates. And so he asked the owner of the Pilates studio that he was at in California, he was like, can I make my own method? Like, can I just try something? And then he was like, as long as people are paying, sure. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So he brought in some more, weights and different things onto the Pilates reformer. And it was more of like a strength training bodybuilding concepts onto the reformer. And people loved it. Like these people, like he was training like celebrities like Jennifer Aniston, Kim Kardashian. Like these girls were going to his classes. And he was like, okay, well, I got to make my own machine. Like people are loving this method. I got to see if I could actually do something with it. So Pilates uses a reformer. It's more for rehabilitation, stretching, strengthening and toning, but just you're moving a lot faster. You're not getting into slow twitch muscles. You're working your fast twitch muscles. Really focus on stretching. Whereas Lagree is on a megaformer or a microformer, which we have microformers for now, just a smaller version. And it's more of that strength training, bodybuilding. So we move very slow. We have heavier springs than what you would see in Pilates. Anytime, you push out your carriage, you're going to be at a different weight because of how spring tension works. So you're just confusing your muscles pretty much the whole time. And like the goal is you want to be shaking, you want to be sweating. Like people feel like it's miserable when you're doing it, but afterwards you're like, that was the best thing ever. I got to come back.
I get that in yoga.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of yoga, but I've done classes. Mm-hmm. And, I'll be in excellent shape, right? Playing basketball a few nights a week, doing a lot of, HIIT type workouts. But then you sit in like a side angle for 30 seconds and your legs are shaking and I'm like drenching in sweat. I'm like, I would rather just be like sprinting than doing that. It'd be easier for me just because that's what I'm used to. But that just tells me that this is probably what I need.
Yes, you have to come.
Yeah.
You must take
it.
You and your wife.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, she's going to be all about it.
Yeah.
And so she was excited that I was having you on. But they use two different machines and I appreciate you explaining kind of the difference. But for someone who's new, okay, so me and my wife come. I've never done it. Mm-hmm. I would obviously do it, especially after talking to you now. But I feel like the average person, especially if they've never done any sort of Pilates or worked on any sort of machine, it's a little intimidating.
Totally.
Like, is this thing going to fit me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I use the same? We use the same one, even though we're different size, right? If someone who's 7 foot can use the same one, like, are the one size fits all? How does it work?
Yeah. It's one size fits all.
Really?
It's for everybody.
How? Like, I mean, I guess I got to see it in person.
Yeah. I mean, we're not like, the machine is there to support you in a sense, but you're not like laying on it. You know what I mean? Okay. Like it's not something where like your whole height would ever be on the machine. Like we're standing up, we're moving. We're not laying down. We're not, you're putting your full body weight on it or anything like that. So we're mostly using it just for the springs and for the movement. So like rather like you couldn't just do a lunge just standing on the ground, but you can because now you have this moving machine behind you where now we can do a lunge stationary. So.
And how does the machine progress with you? So I do a class, let's say tomorrow for the first time. And now 6 months later, I've been doing it 3 times a week. I assume maybe resistance goes up or something changes where it's not exactly what I was doing day one.
Yeah.
And is that all kind of just incorporated in the machine? Like you can kind of push yourself further or how does that work?
Yeah. Not necessarily with springs, which is kind of cool. The method never gets easier. Like it's truly like, I don't want to say that to scare anyone, but it never gets easier. And I feel like that is truly like the best part about it. You never really plateau. There's been people who have been doing Lagree for 20 years and they still struggle in a class. So that's also, I feel like comforting for newbies because, somebody who's been doing it 100 times still struggles in a class. So it's not like, oh, we're judging you. Like we all know that this is really hard, but we're here together. What you do is you slow down. So if you've been doing it for 20 years, rather than doing a slow 4 count, I want you to do a slow 10 count. It should take you like 30 seconds to get down in a lunge, as opposed to, a newbie, I'm going to say 8 to 10 seconds to get down, 8 to 10 seconds to get up. So there's just ways it's like about where you put your feet. If you have your feet closer together in a move, it's going to be more challenging than if we step further out. You have a little bit more body support that way. So it's really cool because you don't have to add more weight or, add more springs. It's funny because people have that misconception of, oh, we're going to add more springs. It's going to be harder when it's actually going to be easier because it's being more supported by the spring as opposed to like, it's not like weightlifting, depending on what move we're in. So yeah, we don't really incorporate more springs. It's just about time and foot placement.
And is that why the coach is important, to be able to set the guidelines within a class of like, this is your first time,
Yep.
maybe just a slow 4, but
Yeah.
you know, Judy, you've been here a while. Let's do a slow 10. You know, kind of like yoga,
Yeah.
right? They give you almost some modified options. Yeah, I think any gym kind of does that.
Exactly.
But is that really what the coach does?
Yeah. I mean, we're leading the whole room. So
Yeah.
we're guiding every step of the way, whether you're new, whether you're not new. If you're, you've been 100 times, you can kind of also do your own thing. If you want to like lift up your knee in a move and just be on your toes, cool. You know how to do that,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always a modification, pregnancy safe, like all of those things.
Is it loud music, pump up type environment? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like yoga, like clear your mind.
No. I mean,
Can you like, is that flexibility in Lagree?
Yeah. I mean,
or is it more focused on like,
there's definitely louder
pump
music.
up?
You're going to want the music. It kind of helps you
music.
get through, in my opinion. But I mean, I clear my mind there. Like I always say in class, if you take it, you'll hear me say this, like Lagree is mental. You are holding a lunge for 2 to 5 minutes. Oh, it's painful. Yeah. Your body is shaking. Your legs are literally convulsing. You got to fight through it. Your brain is like, I want to stand up. This sucks. Like, why are you doing this? And you just stay in it. And it's like the mental benefits are equally as beneficial as the physical benefits.
Yeah, that's cool. And you could say that about most workouts,
yeah.
but you especially seen as you've done a bunch, this one in particular, like you said, holding a lunge for like a minute.
Yeah, because at the gym, like I would sandbag. Like, because I'm there by myself, it's like, but in a group class, like 3 people next to me are holding this. I'm not just going to stand up, I'm not going to be the one person to stand up.
No, and that's so true. I don't do a lot of group classes, but I did one on Long Island, actually visited my in-laws a few weeks ago. And we did, we used some weights, but not really. A lot of it was like body weight, like jump, like, just jumping in place, like things I don't normally do. I'll play basketball and I never just sit there and jump for 30 seconds. And it's a lot, like my mother-in-law did it, and like some women her age and some younger people too. But I was like, all right, I gotta, go hard here. I was sore for like 4 or 5 days, and I never get that sore. And I'm like, wow, from this like 40-minute, here I do all these hard workouts, and I think a big part of it was doing something different, but also just being in that group setting that pushed yourself.
Totally.
Or was pushing me, I should say.
Yeah.
So you said you use weights. It's not just the machine. How, like, is that sometimes like if you want to, or is it like always weight incorporated? Does everyone have their own dumbbells?
Yeah.
How does that look?
Yep. So especially with the microformers, we don't have cables attached to it. Like traditionally with a megaformer, we would have a whole cables attached and a back platform where we would do a bunch of upper body just on the megaformer, which we'll have eventually. But with the micros, I incorporate little dumbbells to do all of our upper body stuff. And they're only 3 pounds, but my fiance will be holding things and he'll literally be like, this sucks. So they definitely feel a lot heavier than 3. But, or you could always, if we're doing squats and you want to grab the dumbbells and, get those involved, you totally can. It's whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it sounds like such little weight, but it could kick your butt.
It sucks. Yeah.
It sucks.
Because we're holding, you got to think you're holding 6 pounds above your head for anywhere from 2 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
That's hard for anybody.
Even without weight, that's hard.
Exactly. Right.
Let alone a few pounds.
Yeah.
I feel like, 30 pounds. What I also like about Lagree is kind of the low impact. You mentioned that like, it always keeps your body guessing. And, you hear any workout plan is like, yes, you want to maybe focus on one thing for a time, but then change it up, right? You don't want your body getting used to it. You want to keep your body guessing. That's really what can create results.
Yeah.
And that sounds like every day your body's kind of guessing how far, that's part of that mission, the reformer, or what's it called? The microformer
for us
that you're using.
Yeah.
But just the longevity of it. And like, I'm already 35 and I can feel myself getting more sore than I did when I was 20.
Yep.
And I can only imagine it's going to keep going down that path. But like things I can do, like I don't go for long runs anymore, right? I ran a lot as an athlete. I try to save my knees a little bit for when I'm actually playing lacrosse or basketball.
Totally.
So I'm always very intrigued by things that can give me the results I want, but also be kind of low impact.
Yep.
And not, maybe tear my knees and my joints. Can you talk about that a little bit and how Lagree it seemed like it was almost designed, right, by a former bodybuilder for that reason?
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's one of our biggest principles. It's low impact, but we're high intensity. So your heart rate is going to feel elevated simply because of how slow we're going, but you're not jumping up and down. You're not running 5 miles or anything like that, but you're still going to get those benefits of that increased heart rate, all of those things. I mean, some of my strongest clients in Nashville were older women. Like it was crazy. Like there's like a 65-year-old woman next to you that's holding an elevated plank for 3 minutes, or longer. And I'm like, I can't even do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just really cool to see that with it being so slow and moving, you're not really at risk for throwing out your back or hurting your knee joint. And again, this is where the instructors come in of we make sure that your knee is lined up exactly where we want it to be, for it to be effective and for it to not hurt. I'll say a lot, don't lock out your joints. When we're standing up in a squat, we never, lock out our knees or we never fully extend our arms just because you don't want to have that risk. But again, without that fast movement, we're not, putting that pressure on your joints.
Yeah. No, that's great. Because, anyone working out, the biggest thing, when you get injured, right, it sets you back so much. And especially as you age, it takes you that much longer. Right. I hurt my calf or I pull my calf in high school, it would have been like 2 days. Right. And now that I'm 35, it's like 2 months.
Yes.
So I just think from a standpoint of not getting hurt and, like I said, as you age, that's huge. So finding ways to do things like, Lagree.
Yeah.
It's big.
And I did a couple like HIIT group fitness classes in Nashville and I was doing it with my fiance and I was like lifting the weight and I was like, I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Like this hurts. Like, and I've done this, I've taken personal training classes and I would ask the coach, I was like, am I doing this right?
Doesn't hurt so good.
Yeah.
Like you're
it was
getting,
like, this like really hurts. And she was like, no, you're good. This is great. I couldn't walk for like, it was right before Christmas. So we drove, I hurt myself. My back hurt so bad I couldn't stand up. And we drove 12 and a half hours in a car. So now I'm sitting for 12 and a half hours. I get here for Christmas and I'm literally just like hunched over. I was like, I can't move. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm almost 30. So I'm like, those classes just don't do it for me anymore because I don't want to hurt myself, and it's a group class that I'm lifting the same weight as my fiance. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? No. I'm like, I can't do this. So it just, all around. That was the last HIIT group fitness class I did. And I was like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. Let's talk about the business side of Pulse.
Yeah.
It seems like you've already got a social media presence. Like, I guess first thing is, when do you plan on starting or when are you opening? What's the grand opening?
I don't know if I'm saying that yet.
Oh, okay. You want to announce it on here? No.
I could say end of January. We'll say end of January. Oh,
okay. Yeah. I was going to say you could just give us like a rough timeline. Yeah. So end of January, you've probably known for at least a year that this is kind of the plan.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that get set up. Talk about like, all right, we're doing this. What were the steps to get to today of like, all right, now we pretty much have a date in place when we're going to open?
Yeah. It all happened so fast. Initially when this thought came, I was like, I am opening a Lagree studio. I want megaformers. I want a full build out. I'm doing it. I'm just that was like where my head was at. I was really set on that plan. And this was, like you said, a year ago or whatever, beginning of January. And it just, it's so expensive. The machines alone are so expensive.
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I don't know when. So my goal was the end of 2026. That was, I was like, I could save some money. I can figure it out and I'm going to do it then. And then I sat down with my fiance and we just got talking and he was like, why don't you start smaller? Why do we have to jump right into the megaformers? And I was like, okay, that's actually not a bad idea. And so I got a little microformer for my house and I just wanted to see, does it feel the same?
I would say, have you used microformers before or no?
Not before this.
Oh, okay.
So, but I did get one at my house in Nashville. And I was like, all right, I got to do the routines on here and just see, make sure that it's as effective as the megaformer because, I love the megaformer so much that I don't want to deliver a workout that's, half as good. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this thing is small, but it's mighty. It works equally. Like you feel everything the same as you would on the mega. So we get the idea of, okay, how can I gauge interest? Because this is obviously a new concept in Syracuse. It's huge in Nashville. It's huge in major cities. but how do I know that this is going to work in Syracuse, which
Yeah,
is always scary.
of course.
You know, much smaller, a lot less population than where I'm from, you know, or where I had been. And I just was like, all right, I'm just going to host pop-ups. So I ordered 6 microformers. I was like, taking this financial hit, but I'm, you know, rather than a couple $100,000, you know, it's on the lower end.
Yeah.
So we get the microformers, and I just was like, I'm going to host a wellness event. You know, that's what I like. So I was like, how can I get people involved? I just start calling people, talking to other small business owners that are in like the wellness space. And I put together this little event. It was called Wellness Unplugged. It happened in June 2025. And I just brought all the little microformers, 55 pounds each.
Oh, wow.
And we brought them up the stairs of Emerald Cocktail Kitchen and hosted our first event.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Up to Pill?
Yes.
Sweet.
My fiance was the one carrying everything, of course.
He didn't do the class because he got his
No.
workout
Yeah.
carrying all the equipment.
Yeah, but that's kind of where we started. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pop up for a year. That was where my head was at. I was like, I'm living in Nashville, first of all. So I'm not even living here. I'm just going to do like one event a month and just try and see if people like it. And it just kind of took off. Like the classes were getting sold out right away. People were asking me like, where are you going to be this weekend? You know, can I get in? Is there a wait list? You know, when's the next class? And I was just like, I'm in Tennessee. You know, I was like, I can't.
It's not like a 20-minute drive to go do
they're
one
like,
of these.
can you do a private? And I was like, yes, in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, so that just wasn't working in that sense. I did probably 15 to 20 pop-ups, and I would just fly home and shout out to my parents because they helped me every single one. They were waking up at 5:30 in the morning, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we were going and setting up the machines at different places. It was amazing because people were reaching out to me to say like, hey, I want to host a class. And I would just be like, all right, let's do it. You know, you just tell me where and we'll be there and fill it and we're good to go. And it was just, so it was just taking off, and I didn't want to lose that momentum. And we had a conversation like, okay, do I start looking at spaces? I cannot carry these machines around every single day. Like I was like, we're renting U-Hauls. You know, I physically couldn't do it alone. Like I needed either my fiance, if not more people. You know, him and I could do it, but it takes us 45 minutes to set up. We would do a 35-minute class, and then it would take us 45 minutes to put it all away. So my parents, obviously, again, big help there, but they go to Florida for 6 months out of the year. They leave in October. So I was like, I can't do pop-ups after October. What am I going to do? I was like, all right, we got to start looking at a space. And started looking around via FaceTime because, again, I'm in Tennessee. My mom is here. I'm just like sending her all these places. I'm like, can you be here at 1:00? And she's like, sure, whatever. I'm on FaceTime.
Or just like perusing LoopNet or
yes,
Crexy
exactly.
and things like that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I actually ended up finding our space on Facebook.
Oh.
Facebook Market. We were looking at a different space that my landlord now had available. Too small. My parents were there and I was like, oh, that's not going to work. You know, on to the next one. And his name is John. He was like, wait, I have this space that's going to be available December 1st. Let me show you. And so my parents went up and it was like instantly, like my mom was like, I think this is the one. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And yeah, that just like fast tracked my timeline because again, like I had plans for like late 2026.
Okay. So yeah, it's pretty recent of being like, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah. This was in October. Like this was just a couple months ago where I was like, okay, I mean, we got to look at a space because again, I just didn't want to lose that interest. I didn't want to, you know, if I'm only popping up once a month, you know, people aren't going to get hooked because you're not going to see the results that you want to see. It's fun to go do, but in order to get people hooked on it and to actually show results and like all of the benefits that it does deliver, you got to do it more than once a month.
Yeah. And you always take sort of a leap of faith, but you proved it a bit.
Yeah.
You know, not only was it kind of proved in major cities and clearly you saw it in Nashville, but you actually did pop-ups here. I didn't realize that. So that probably makes you feel a little better about, you know, actually signing a lease and getting into it. Because that's right. Just because it works in major cities, you know, I wouldn't necessarily consider Syracuse a major city.
Right.
A lot of things do, but a lot of things don't. So it's, you know, figuring out. I just think at this point, I mean, even hear you talk about it and just that little, hump over getting to, hey, we've done, month here, month here, month there, selling out classes, people reaching out to us. It's like worst comes to worst, right? You can still kind of do those and host your own and still get people hooked.
Yeah.
Granted, you do a little lifting in and out of the U-Haul. That's
Physical.
cool. And I imagine you've, during this time, tried to focus like on marketing a little bit, like on social media too.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the word out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to be great about this is like people can actually learn. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. And I feel like, I wouldn't say I'm that in tune with all fitness, but at the same time, like there's some people who probably know a lot less about fitness than I do that would really enjoy these.
Totally.
So, that's probably still going to be a big hurdle is overcoming, getting the word out, not only that you're here, but also what it is.
Yeah.
And do you kind of have a plan? I mean, I assume like word of mouth, things like that. Is that what you're really hoping for?
I mean, that's what the pop-ups were hugely helpful with. I mean, I pulled a report. We had like 130 people that was able to try a pop-up. So,
cool.
We reached a decent amount of people with that. Yeah. Luckily, like Lagree is pretty big on social media. Just in general, I feel like Lagree as a whole is blowing up. So there have been people that have been like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen this on TikTok, but I never knew what it was. I wanted to try it."
It's like the national marketing is helping.
Yes. Yeah. So like those things. But I mean, shout out to my social media girl, Mackenzie. If anyone needs her, she's incredible. She is a huge help. I reached out to her back in June and I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. It's not a business yet, but will you do my social media?" And she was like, "Sure, with what?" Like I don't
what
have
content
any.
You got?
She's like,
you don't even live here.
Live in Tennessee and we don't have photos. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was hoping you could figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was just kind of what we started with. Were like educational posts, the graphics of the difference between Lagree and Pilates. And luckily people know what Pilates is. So I feel like we just say it's spicy or sister and people are kind of like, oh, that sounds fun. And
that's an easy way.
Yeah, we go from there.
So tell us the goal, right? And that may change, the day you open the doors, a month later, a year later. But like, let's say in 5 years, like, what do you hope for with Pulse or just like what you're doing as far as Lagree goes or maybe adding to it?
Yeah.
Do you know? Or are you just like step one?
I mean,
focus on that.
Yeah, a little bit of both. But I mean, in 5 years, I would love to have another location. Right from the start, I said I would want one in the Syracuse area and then like out in Skinny Atlas or, Camillus or something. In Syracuse, I feel like people don't really leave like where they're
I was
around.
going to say, I'm like, you being in Nashville and us, like, it's easy to get anywhere in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But people still like
don't
driving
leave.
From Camillus to North Syracuse. Like, oh, are you kidding me? I may as well be going to Canada at that point. Like people don't like to leave their neighborhood or their area.
And something I learned in Nashville, it was the juice bar I was managing. There was one like every 10 miles.
Yeah. And
I was just like, why are you opening up? So like there's like 7, of the same juice bar. But he was just hitting all of the different neighborhoods.
And the convenience.
Yeah. And just making it convenient for people. So I kind of wanted to do something with that. And I don't know, we're going to get megaformers. So I'm going to have these 8 microformers. I've kind of flirted with the idea of like a satellite location of something smaller with the micros and kind of keep that as it is and just have my megaformer studio, have my microformer studio.
Yeah.
But again, we're still on step one.
Maybe even a juice bar. Yeah. Cool. Well, Ashlee, I mean, tell listeners how to, hey, you got me hooked. I want to try this. Like, what's the best way to kind of keep up to date with when classes go live?
Yeah. Our Instagram's a great way. We are pulselagree.syr. Other than that, website, you can text me, you can call me. I pride myself on responding very quickly. But yeah, stay up to date with everything would be social media, Instagram.
Cool. And when will that exact date be announced? Do you anticipate?
Very soon.
Very soon.
I mean, I've told like my members know and things like that.
Oh, okay. But so you have a date.
Yes, I do have a date.
Okay. I just thought you may be waiting on some things.
No.
It's always, things sometimes take longer when you're opening.
That's almost why. Yeah. Because you never know what could come up.
You don't want too much of the word getting out. Cool. Well, Ashlee, best of luck. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm excited to get out there and get my butt kicked.
I know. I can't wait to have you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.